This is part two, or the second half of a video about tourism impacts to SITLA land, Utah State land, at the top of Long Canyon, adjacent to Dead Horse State Park. So watch the first video. This third topic that we're going to talk about as far as impacts go are sort of related to fire and wood gathering. So I've walked a ways, maybe a quarter, third of a mile, on the other side of the road from the camp. And over here we find these old juniper snags, and these are rotting in the ground, and these are, I mean, probably grew, I don't know, at least, yeah, it could have died 500 years ago or something. And so these piles of this slowly rotting wood are habitats for a lot of small animals in the desert. And they also allow for nitrogen to be reabsorbed into the soils so that it can be accessible to the plants. And if you look underneath this pinyon right over here, we can see that the ground is littered with material that's rotting, that's from that tree, and that helps to shelter the ground, you know, for the heat, to prevent the ground from heating up as hot. That makes it harder for the tree to live, and obviously all of that habitat that's there. Now we're gonna walk over to the other side and see a different story. So all of that material has been like removed and dug up from the ground, almost all of it. And even the standing trees, this tree is still alive, will be stripped of their bark. You can see those dark areas here on the underside. That's, you might be able to, it's kind of bright, but those dark areas are where people have stripped the bark from these junipers in order to start fires. And that soft outer layer of that juniper bark helps to insulate the tree when it's hot, and so is obviously vital. Yep. So now we're going to look at some fire pits. As this place becomes higher use, and because there aren't any designated sites here at all, because there's no management, people create a lot of campfire rings, and oftentimes they'll be really close together. Like there's one right there, and then there's one right over here, and there's more down this way. And here we can see there's Juniper Branch. Yeah, so this area, there is no signage here that says no wood collecting, but obviously it's not sustainable to cut wood here. It just doesn't grow fast enough for the amount of traffic. So you can see that people cut trees, and this tree is very alive, and yeah, people cut it. There's a bunch more examples of this. So this tree is dead, although I bet it used to look nicer than this. And yeah, so this is what people do to get their firewood. They cut down these standing dead trees. Some of these trees are habitat trees for like birds and stuff once they're dead. Over here you can see one of the things that a lot of people can't understand why this happens, but here you can see that there's 2 fire pits. They're 20 feet apart. You know, and a lot of times there's 2 times, just like this, there's 2 times as many fire pits as there are places to camp. It makes no sense. And people build them on the bedrock, and then it scars, you know, creates permanent scarring on the bedrock. There's a good one like that right over here. I'll show you. This is a great example. This is it's really giant. But yeah, and then it leaves these permanent black scars on the rock. And the truth is that this rock eventually just like all cracks and falls apart. The sandstone won't sustain, you know, even the Campfire Ring rocks, they all fall apart. So that's what happens here as well. You can actually see some of that taking place right here. It's like some rocks like that. Anyway, so if there was management here, then there would probably be a fire ring here, or maybe there wouldn't be. And there would certainly be signage that says like no wood collecting, things like that. And the deal is that when these areas start to become high use like this, and we start to see these type of impacts, then the land management agencies are supposed to respond to that impact, and then manage the area appropriately. Because the public has a right to access this recreational resource that's here. But we also have the right for it to be managed in our best interest. And this is not that.